Hi everyone! In this presentation, I'll be doing a personality profile on Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. We will look at her through three different personality aspects: neuroticism, Machiavellianism, and fearful attachment. Each of these will be explained through a different psychological perspective. Who is Arya Stark? Arya is the youngest daughter in her family and is defined by her fierce independence, emotional strength, and transformation from a simple girl into a deadly assassin. Her journey begins in Winterfell, her hometown, where she witnesses the brutal deaths of her father, mother, and her oldest brother. Forced to flee, Arya endures loss, war, and trauma, each challenge shaping her into a survivor. Along the way, she learns the harsh realities of the world and hones her skills as a warrior. In the end, Arya plays a pivotal role in defeating the main antagonist, the Night King, and saves humanity. She then chooses to journey beyond the known world and continue her path forward alone. We can see from this simple introduction that she has a very complex psychological development throughout the series, which we will explore in the coming slides. The first trait that we will look at that Arya displays is neuroticism. As we learned in class, neuroticism is one of the big five personality traits and refers to a person's tendency to experience negative emotions like fear, anxiety, sadness, and emotional instability. People who are high in neuroticism often have a hard time regulating these feelings and are more reactive to stressful events. Arya experiences intense emotional trauma from witnessing her father be beheaded and being separated from her family after her mother and brother were killed at the Red Wedding. She holds on to this anger and anxiety, and it causes her to react impulsively or with deep emotional brooding, like when she recites her kill list before sleeping, which is every single person that she intends to kill. She frequently has nightmares, deals with loss through avoidance or revenge, and often exhibits anxiety, particularly when she's alone or in unfamiliar situations. These emotional reactions are all consistent with someone high in neuroticism, which we defined previously. One way to explain this trait is by using the biological perspective. The biological perspective emphasizes the role of genetics on personality. Arya likely inherited a temperament high in emotional reactivity from her intense father, Ned Stark. While trauma did make things worse, her baseline neuroticism may have been shaped by her biology from the start. The second trait that we see in Arya is Machiavellianism. This is a personality trait that is part of the dark triad, and people who show this trait often behave in behavior much like a puppet master would. It is marked by having a calculating attitude towards human relationships and a belief that the end justifies the means, no matter how ruthless. Arya shows this trait more and more as the series progresses. After leaving her town, when her mother and father and brother died, she trains with the Faceless Man, who is a mysterious killer. With him, she learns to deceive, manipulate, and kill with precision. She lies about her identity, uses disguises, and serves Walder Frey, the man who killed her mother and brother, a pie made out of his sons before murdering him. Her ability to detach emotionally in order to achieve her goals is a defining part of her personality by the end of the series. She doesn't kill for pleasure, she kills for justice and survival, which is consistent with calculated behavior rather than impulsivity. We're going to use the learning perspective to explain this trait that we see in Arya. The learning perspective says that personality is shaped through learning. And Arya's behavior can definitely be explained through conditioning and modeling from the people around her that she lives with and that mentor her. Arya witnessed early on that honor doesn't protect you, as her father was executed for telling the truth. Meanwhile, characters who lied and manipulated survived. This would condition Arya to model those who use deception as a survival tool. Her training with the Faceless Man provided positive reinforcement. Mastering deception gave her safety, control, and eventually revenge. These experiences shaped her behavior through learned associations and consequences. Another mentor in her life was her friend who went by the nickname the Hound. He taught her to be cunning, emotionally detached, and present herself as cold and calculating. At one point in the series, he says, "You're not very kind. Someday it'll get you killed," reinforcing that being moral or soft won't help her in a cruel world. The last trait that we see in Arya is avoidant, or otherwise known as fearful attachment. This is when a person desires emotional closeness but fears being hurt or rejected, so they emotionally detach as a defense. It often results from early trauma or inconsistent caregiving. Arya shows this fearful attachment style. She wants closeness but pushes people away out of fear. This shows up in her interactions with her love interest, Gendry, who wants to marry her, but she responds, "That's not me." Even with her own family, she keeps her distance. Though she loves her siblings, she doesn't know how to reconnect emotionally after years of trauma and independence. The years of loss and having to emotionally detach herself to survive have taken a real toll on her ability to form healthy attachments. To explain Arya's fearful or avoidant attachment style, we can use Freud's psychoanalytic perspective. Freud believed childhood events shape adult personality. Arya was separated from her mother and father during critical development years, and she experienced repeated trauma without a parent or a caregiver there in her life to support her. To cope, she uses Freudian defense mechanisms like repression, which is seen by her burying her pain, and displacement when she turns her grief into vengeance. Her whole life becomes about taking revenge on those that have hurt her or her family. To conclude, we can see that Arya has evolved from season 1 to all the way to season 8 as a multifaceted character whose personality has been shaped by survival and loss. Her neuroticism reveals her deep emotional pain. Her Machiavellianism reflects how she adapts to survive. And her fearful attachment highlights her struggle to trust and connect. Using biological learning and Freudian theories, we see that her personality isn't just shaped by who she is, but what she's been through. Thank you so much for watching. Whether you have watched Game of Thrones or have never watched Game of Thrones, I hope that you enjoyed learning about a pivotal character in this series.